In the books Man's Search for Meaning and All Quiet on the Western Front, how do the motifs, point of view, and plot events emphasize the author's view on man's natural state of being? All Quiet on the Western Front, page 43. Then came the command.
Change at loan.
And like lightning, everyone scrambled under the bed to the opposite side. We practiced this for hours on end. Meanwhile, the German airplane has been shot down. Like a comet, it bursts into a streamer of smoke and falls headlong. Kropp has lost his bottle of beer. Disgruntled, he counts out the money from his wallet.
Surely Himmelstoss was a very different fellow as a postman.
Say I, after Albert's disappointment has subsided.
And how does it come that he is such a bully when he is a drill sergeant?
The question revives Kropp. More particularly, he hears there's no more beer in the canteen.
It's not only Himmelstoss, there's lots of them. As sure as they get a stripe or a star, they become different men, just as though they'd swallowed concrete.
That is the uniform.
I suggest,
Roughly speaking, it is.
says Kat, and prepares for a long speech.
But the root of the matter lies somewhere. For instance, if you train a dog to eat potatoes and then afterwards put a piece of meat in front of him, he'll snap at it. It's his nature. And if you give a man a little bit of authority, he behaves just the same way. He snaps at it too. The things are precisely the same. In himself, man is essentially a beast. Only he butters it over like a slice of bread with a little decorum. The army is based on that. One man must always have power over the other.
Man's Search for Meaning, page 28. It was typical to hear the prisoners, while they were being herded back to camp from their work sites in the evening, sigh with relief and say,
"Another day is over." It can be readily understood that such a state of strain, coupled with the constant necessity for concentrating on the task of staying alive, forced the prisoner's inner life down to a primitive level.
All Quiet on the Western Front, page 18. We go back to the huts. I think of the letter that I must write tomorrow to Kemmerich's mother. I am freezing. I could not do with a tot of rum. Mueller pulls up some grass and chews it. Suddenly little Kropp throws his cigarette away, stamps on it savagely, and looking around him with a broken and distracted face, stammers.
The darn shoot!
We walk on for a long time. Kropp has calmed himself. We understand. He saw red. Out there every man gets like that sometimes.
What has Cantriac written to you?
Mueller asked him. He laughs.
We are the Iron Youth.
We all three smile bitterly. Kropp rails. He is glad that he can speak.
Yeah, that's the way they think, these 100,000 Cantorics. Iron youth. We are none of us more than 20 years old, but young, youth, that is long ago. We are old folk.
Man's Search for Meaning, page 22. But the prisoner who passed into the second stage of his psychological reactions did not avert his eyes anymore. By then his feelings were blunted, and he watched, unmoved.
Disgust, horror, and pity are emotions that a spectator could not really feel anymore. The sufferers, the dying, and the dead became such commonplace sights to him after a few weeks of camp life that they could not move him anymore.
Man's Search for Meaning, page 23. My place was on the opposite side of the hut, next to the small sole window which was built near the floor. While my cold hands clasped a bowl of hot soup from which I sipped greedily, I happened to look out the window. The corpse which had just been removed stared in at me with glazed eyes. 2 hours before, I had spoken to that man. Now, I continued sipping my soup. All Quiet on the Western Front, page 216. Already it has become somewhat lighter. Steps hasten over me. The first gone. Again another. The rattle of machine guns becomes an unbroken chain. Just as I am about to turn around a little, something heavy stumbles, and with a crash a body falls over me into a shell hole, slips down, and lies across me. I do not think at all. I make no decision. I strike madly at home. and feel only how the body suddenly convulses, then becomes limp and collapses. When I recover myself, my hand is sticky and wet.